Welcome to the Williams warm-up. We're off to Bahrain shortly to have our first race of the 2024 season. Our season starts here. I'm incredibly excited. The 3 days of testing we had in Bahrain sort of gave us a little taste for what we can expect, and it sort of looks like it's very close with the teams in and around us. We'll be in a fight certainly early on in the year, and it's one where development races will kick in. How quickly we can develop the package we have and add performance to it will dictate where the championship settles. In terms of Bahrain, it's a little bit easier than most other race weekends in as much as we've already been running there for several days. The drivers are up to speed. We have a setup that we know is a good foundational baseline. And the same couldn't be said, for example, for Shanghai, which we'll go to a little bit later on, or even Saudi. So in that regards, Bahrain will be a little bit easier. But the counter to that is it'll be a lot more difficult. No teams ran proper qualifying simulations and even proper race simulations. There are elements that will be different. So there's still some learning to be had. And whichever team's on top of that quickly enough will be the one that has great success.
Oh, it was symmetrical.
Rolling, let's roll. Symmetrical, of course. It was good. Long 4 days, I think, for everybody involved. We probably didn't achieve everything we wanted, but we still achieved a lot. There's negative, there's also a lot of positive. Alex had a reasonably strong day 3, I think, which is building good foundation for the race to come. So, yeah.
Yeah, day 1, day 2 were quite tough, aren't they? Yeah. From reliability and general progress, but I think day 3 we helped a bit with the weather, but chipped away and I think made a bit of progress. So.
Yeah. As competitor, you're never fully happy with what you have. You always want more, but it's definitely a step forward.
Yeah, definitely.
The car looks also better. The build is a good step. The balance of the car is a good step. The drivability is a good step. But everybody is progressing. So if you have a better car, but everybody progresses quicker than you, that's not good enough. So I think we don't really have a clean answer of how much we did relative to everyone. We'll know in quali, but hopefully we've done enough to progress.
The philosophy of the car is quite different to last year, so it will take a while to unpick it, to try and understand it and therefore maximise it. But
the drivers are still scratching the surface of how they need to drive, and even they've been off all winter and they just have Logan at 20 laps on day 1 and 114, I think, on day 2. That's still not enough to be up to grip with driving a Formula 1 to the maximum of the capacity. So there's still going to be a lot to come from the drivers, I think, both drivers, and from us in terms of how we operate the car.
Yeah, I mean, you can have multiples of seconds, can't you, just in fuel alone, let alone mode and tyres, time of day, track conditions, wind.
I think you know what you achieve as a team because you know what you're running with, the tyre, the fuel load, the mode. But you can only try to guess what everybody else is doing. So a fan with only the lap time, it's going to be very difficult.
The high fuel one's a little bit more representative because if you do a full race, then you're doing 57 laps, aren't you? So you can't run at 30 kilos to do 57 laps. So you've got more of an idea as to fuel loads and realistically what you'd run in terms of mode.
Yeah.
So that's probably closer.
I think the fan probably use all the website that do report on the testing, and all these websites probably do a similar exercise than our strategy group is doing, trying to understand what everybody is running and try to give a prediction of lap times. So yeah, I think the fan read out and try to understand through the reports of journalists, but Verstappen will be strong, that's for sure. Everyone can guess that. It's very tight in the midfield. Some people probably didn't perform as well as they hoped they would relative to last year. Some people were a bit of a surprise, but overall it's very tight. So if you just move a bit the fuel load you think people have run, you can swing things around quite quickly. And even if the driver and the setup is a bit improved and you operate better the car, 1 or 2 tenths can make you swing from being bumped out of Q1 or being close to Q3, I think. So let's hope that we are close to Q3. There was a sandstorm yesterday. 2 weeks ago it rained for F2, we had a dry time, and yesterday was a massive sandstorm. So that's what's specific about Bahrain, I think.
Yeah, it's in the desert effectively. So it's a bit exposed in terms of the sand and the reset on the track every day with the wind that blows the sand on the track. The high-speed corners are the highest part of the track, therefore more exposed to the wind.
I think we said last time the session timings are what makes it a bit unique in event format. We have a few events like this. P1 and P3 are in the heat of the day, which is very, very different to what you have in P2 and qualifying. For people that watch us, between a hard track with more wind to a colder track with less wind, we're talking about seconds of lap time. So that changed a lot, everything. It's a completely different car, completely different approach of how you drive the car for the drivers. So you basically don't learn much from P1, P3 to try to prepare qualifying and the race. I need to remove my shade. No.
If anything, the weather gets easier, doesn't it? The track gets cooler, it gets more stable by the time that we run, I think. Can you say the wind drops more often than not?
More often than not, the wind drops, yeah.
Apart from that, turn the floodlights on and away we go.
The track is illuminated with a lot of very powerful spotlights, so even the driver, they just change their visor. That's the one I was looking for. The visor, because they don't need to be protected for any sun they see as in daylight. It doesn't change much for them. It's cooler, easier physically. I think we saw last year that we scored a point. I think we were P10, P11 in the race. Everybody will have challenges that are inherent to race one, and everybody is still trying to solve issues in the background. So I think my first hope is that we operate well. We don't stop in session, we do the laps, we do the learning, we keep building up what we have the car, and both cars can have a clean race. And I think if we operate well and improve on what we saw, we can have a reasonably strong race and hopefully have a good result. It's really hard to know, but yeah, the first thing I hope is just that we operate well, the car doesn't stop, and we can just finish the race and have a trouble-free weekend, and that will accelerate the learning massively.
I think operationally you want to be, we don't want to be rusty. And maximise that. There's a chance that other people will be after 2-3 months off, and the testing's not the same as qualifying, or those sorts of things with the pressure and the needing to run a clean session in 1 hour and so on. So hopefully we'll be fine with that. And then, setup wise, it's just see what happens. We'll just continue. We're a little bit on the back foot with what happened in testing, so we're trying to make reasonable gains in a short space of time. Hopefully they'll work. Some of them, sometimes they may not, but that's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. It's more exploratory than you do at the end of a season when you understand the car. Right now we're trying to find a solution to set up issues, and
we're trying to find tenths at the minute rather than milliseconds, aren't we? So.
What time's your flight?
Early tomorrow morning. I think we leave the factory at 5 in the morning. So it was good to be back. It's good to be home. It's a bit of a reset for all of us. Everybody that came back, we were fortunate. Some people stayed over. It's quite long. They're off for 3 weeks because then you go to Bahrain and Jeddah. But we had the time. So today we had the factory. There's got a bit of preparation and meeting in the background, and early start tomorrow morning. Probably alarm clock at 3 or 3:30 would be nice.
Found in the heart of the Sakir Desert, some 20 kilometers southwest of the capital Manama, the Herman Tilke-designed Bahrain International Circuit has become a firm favourite among both the fans and the drivers, thanks to the consistently great racing it produces. The 15-turn course features 3 DRS zones, the longest of which can be found on the 1.2-kilometre main straight, and under the shadow of the impressive BIC tower, the heavy braking zone into Turn 1 always sees its fair share of action. Turns 9 and 10 have seen a lot of big moments over the years too, thanks to the high risk of front locking, whilst the long right-hand sweeper at Turn 12 provides the drivers with a real challenge. Since 2014, the Grand Prix has taken place under floodlights in the cool of the desert night, making it quite the spectacle to kick off the new season. This switch from day to night running in the desert was certainly a relief to the drivers, with the 2005 Bahrain Grand Prix holding the record for F1's hottest race, held in scorching temperatures as high as 42 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Despite completing hundreds of miles at this very track last week in pre-season testing, the limited running of 1.5 days per driver means that there will still be some unknowns as we head into Saturday. Battling it out over 57 laps, we'll certainly have a clearer picture of the true pecking order for the season ahead.